welcome to this spontaneous edition of the Gamble Rumble vlog. I'm your host, as always, Glenn Archie Gamble. And when I say spontaneous, what I mean by that is that this wasn't supposed to be the newest edition of the Ramble. In fact, I had filmed an interview with drumming legend Mickey Curry 2 days ago. Mickey played with Hall & Oates, Bryan Adams, most famously in the 80s. But he's also a session drumming legend. He played with everybody from Carly Simon to, just a list as long as my arm of legendary people that he's done sessions with, The Cult, and so on and so forth. And that will be coming up soon. I'm editing it. But the reason I'm doing this one first is that I realized today, due to scrolling through Facebook memories, hi Shadow, that's my boy, I digressed already, 55 seconds. Yeah, I know, Shadow, I know. Come here, you want to be on camera? Say hello. Oh, now he's quiet. Anyway, so I realized going through Facebook memories today that today is the 50th anniversary of the day that I signed with Yamaha Drums as an Yamaha Drums artist and endorser. On this date in 2010, Sean called me or emailed me, I can't remember which, but confirmed that I was on the roster. And we had been talking a little before that. And the funny thing is that I had tried to get with Yamaha earlier on, now sometime between 2004 and 2008, because I was playing with a band from Canada called The Joys. And we were, the band was doing really well. We were constantly going on tour. We played over 300 nights a year when a lot of bands weren't even doing close to those numbers. We were selling CDs off the stage. That there as a gold single, an independent gold single in Canada from The Joys. We sold something like 20,000 CDs off of the stage. It was a very successful independent band that was never quite able to breach into the major leagues. But I had hit up Sean at that point, and Yamaha rather. I didn't know Sean yet. About an endorsement deal, because I know one of the things to look for is people that are working a lot and actively playing to promote the product. And I was surprised because Sean said no. And at that time I had Sabian cymbals. I was on a Sabian endorser rather. I signed with them in 1995. And Remo drum heads. And I had, maybe at the time I was using Los Cabos drumsticks. And now, of course, I'm a Headhunters, devoted Headhunters user, but that's all for another vlog. So I thought, okay, well, maybe this is possible. This band plays all the time. They're on the way up. The trajectory is going this way instead of this way. And I had a pretty good history of being a working drummer in Canada. And Sean said no when I asked. Now, he was very gracious about it. I didn't, that's how I got to meet Sean Brown, the legendary Sean Brown of Yamaha Canada Music. Sean's moved on to an international position within Yamaha. At the time, he was head of marketing for Yamaha Drums in Canada. And the great Ryan Hamilton has taken over, and I'll get to that in a minute. So I asked Sean, and he said, no, there was no room on the roster at that point. He said, though, I'm impressed with your work ethic, and your band seems to be out there. So what I'll do is I'll help you with a kit. I'll give you a kit at artist cost, just to help you become a Yamaha user. And I was playing Gretsch Renown at the time. And they were fine, good drums. Gretsch are great drums, But I wanted to be a Yamaha guy because I see how they really get behind their artists. So Sean had said no to signing me. But he gave me this kit. I'll put a picture in here. And Yamaha Live Customs, Tour Customs, at the time, the Tour Customs. Beautiful white salmon, pinkish, okay, Levard, if you're watching. Levard used to tease me about my drums being pink. But that's a digression, but it's technically part of the topic. So, beautiful kit anyway. Akura White, I think it was called, was the actual name of the finish. 22-inch kick, 14-inch snap, 10, 12, 14, 16. Floor toms, and I loved them. They're great drums. So, and then I went on with my career. Now, my time with The Joys ended amicably in 2008. I left the band to pursue other avenues, and what surprised me was that in 2010, Sean Brown approached me out of the blue. He still had my contact information. And he emailed me, I remember, and he said, you know, are you still interested in being a Yamaha artist? I said, well, yeah, but I'm not with that band anymore. I'm not playing 300 nights a year anymore, although I am playing 5-6 nights a week locally, you know, and touring here and there a couple times a year. He says, well, you're what we're looking for. It turned out they were launching a new series called the Rock Tour Series. And he goes, you know, it's perfect for like a guy like you that plays professionally but wants, you know, like mid-level affordable gear that is a professional sound, but, you know, and quality, but not out of the range of the average drummer. So I said, yeah, sign me up, you know, it's great. And now Yamaha has 3 levels. At that point in time, when I was with them, they have 3 levels of the others, like regional contract, regional endorsement deal, national endorsement deal, and an international endorsement deal, okay? So I was being offered the regional, right, for Ontario and Canada, you know. It was national because I toured nationally, but not all the drummers that had that level of endorsement were guys that toured. They were just guys that played a lot locally. So I'll put my first kit in here. I'll show you. Metal gray, flat black, beautiful drum kit from the Rock Tour series. And I wanted to make a big splash. And I talked to Sean. I said, listen, at that time I had a teaching studio. So I said, I want one big kit that I could split into 2 for when I'm teaching. So my drummer, you know, can have them next to each other so my students can shadow me. But when I play live, I can bring up both bass drums, you know. So as you can see in the picture, Sean was excited by the idea. He goes, yeah, nobody else has got this setup. This is great. So while it was a regional deal, and there was no contract involved the first time, it was just, Sean goes, you're part of the family now. So that meant that I got stuff at artist pricing, okay? But Sean also, knowing that I was kind of a cut above the local player in that I have a history of recording acts and a history of touring. I've toured Canada and America probably 30 times over the years. Gave me a bunch of stuff too. So in other words, the kit you see in the picture, I paid for probably like artist pricing for a kick, snare, 1 rack, 1 floor, and some hardware. And then the rest of the stuff Sean helped me with throwing in as bonuses and stuff, like a second kick drum, and upgraded my, hardware, my better snare stand, better throw and stuff like that, better pedals. So, you know, I paid for that kit, but I paid I think I paid $1,000 in total, if I remember correctly. I don't think Sean will mind me talking about this 15 years later. He's not even there anymore in that job, so. And I don't think they even give the same deals out there. I think the deal structure's changed. But at the time, but basically I got 2 drum kits for $1,000, basically, Canadian. And that's what I used to do. I used to split it up to teach, or I would take the smaller kit out on country gigs, or I'd take the larger drums out of rock gigs, or I would take the entire kit out. I was in an 80s metal cover band at the time, rather, called Leatherstake. And I'll try to put a picture in here. And I called it the Battleship when I was in Leatherstake, right? That was what I meant to say earlier. Forgive me, I am actually a bit dyslexic. When I said submarine, I meant to say battleship. It was called the Battleship. And it was fun to have that kind of kit to play that kind of music, you know. And Sean was great with me, you know, like I've still got a closet full of Yamaha swag. Most of it doesn't fit anymore because I'm a bit bigger than I used to be, but, you know, and jackets, and I've got 2 great cool Yamaha jackets they gave me, and hoodies and shirts, and, you know, just cases with Yamaha printed on, bags, and just all kinds of stuff, you know. And I was also in an ad, I think I'll find the picture, I'll put it in here, for Yamaha drums. And so that comes a little later. We'll get to that in a minute. But basically, Sean was really good to me with helping me with stuff, and I helped him launch the Rock Tours. And hey folks, just a little post-filming edit. I owned a lot of Yamaha kits in the years I was with them. They were very good to me about, you know, selling me stuff for super cheap artist pricing new drums that had just come out. I did forget to mention that in here, that I also took like a lot of kits. I've put the pictures in here for you to see of various product lines, so I'm very grateful about that as well. Also brought in Tommy Aldridge to help launch the Rock Tours, and I was at the helm of that was Sean Brown, put a live band together for a clinic, Tommy Aldridge drum clinic here in London, and one in Toronto. Okay, I hired some friends, and they played some Whitesnake and stuff like that, and it went really well. Both the clinics were really successful. So Sean also hired me to work for Yamaha at Mayak, and he paid me an hourly wage to come up there, put me up at the Sheraton in Toronto for the weekend. It was a good week. That week we did 2 clinics with Tommy. Tommy appeared at Mayak, and I worked at Mayak, and Yamaha paid me well. And so it was a great week. So yeah, Sean saw that I was a team player, is my point. I was there at 7 in the morning with him and the great Gene Rose, unpacking and setting up, tuning and setting up kits. And no one can tune like Gene Rose, by the way. That guy's ear is incredible. And that's a digression, but it's on topic. So as my relationship with Yamaha grew, Sean saw that I was very devoted and I was very active in promoting. And this is the key these days, guys. I gotta tell you this. Any young drummers watching, the internet is key. The reason Sean called me back after all those years is he saw me promoting Sabian and the other companies I endorsed online. And he knew that I would get behind the Rock Tours, and I did. Okay? So keep this in mind. Your social media presence is important, especially in this day and age, if you want to try and get endorsement deals. So around the time we shot the ad for Yamaha, Sean, my contract had expired, and Sean actually signed me this time and upped me to national. Okay? So what that means is that the terms of the deal were different. And I went down to Yamaha, and the day we did the photo shoot, I'll never forget, he had a table set up, he had my contract there. I signed my renewal, my contract, my upgrade to national. Left the table, went over to the backdrop, and shot some photos that appeared in various online and Yamaha ads, and in various magazines like what was that magazine? I'll try and find it. It's a French Canadian and English, but published in Montreal, a drum magazine. I think it's called Drum ! But I will find it, put it in here. It appeared in there. And it went out to music stores and stuff, so that was pretty cool, you know. Now, I don't think I'm betraying any confidence here by telling this. The second level of endorsement, national, of course, you get some free gear. You get a budget for free gear, right? So what they give you is, like, in my case, if I remember correctly, it was $3,000 worth of free gear, okay? So then you go through basically the catalog and you pick out what you want. So this time I had the Battleship, as I said, the 2 drum kits into one. And, they'd sold me a second hi-hat stand, a second snare, and a second snare stand, so I could set up 2 kits and play them all at once. And Sabian, I had 2 sets of cymbals. A set of, XSRs or B8s for the students, and then my good cymbals I used. And then I could merge it all together into one giant kit. And so I signed, and as I said, I got a budget to be able to go through the catalog and pick out $3,000 worth of gear. So I ordered an Anton Fig custom snare drum, and I ordered a mid-level, not upper, but not lower level electronic kit. I forget exactly which one I got. But yeah, and then Yamaha shipped that to my house, and it cost me nothing. And my deal continued that I still got swag, and I still got to go to, I went to NAMM, the NAMM show in California, not Vietnam, although I have been to Vietnam. I digress again. But the point being, when you're involved with a company, especially a great international company like Yamaha, there are a lot of little perks involved. So at the NAMM show, 2013 specifically, I remember I got invited to a dinner where the president of Yamaha, the president from Japan, appeared and made a speech, and we had dinner in a giant ballroom with him and a bunch of other people, and it was just little things like that. They would take care of their. As a matter of fact, I got a Yamaha DTX 12 pad unit as a quote-unquote Christmas gift from Sean Brown. He just basically, I'd expressed interest in it, and I wrote to him asking about pricing. And he sent me one down right around Christmas time, so basically said Merry Christmas, Ha ha ha. And I had I was mounting it on a snare stand, but it wasn't quite working, and the basket didn't quite hold it. So he also sent me down a stand after the fact. So you see what I'm saying? you have a relationship with this company, with drum companies, there's stuff that's in writing, and then there's perks and bonuses where, well, you know what, you were doing good, we'll give you this, we'll help you with that. I didn't pay for a Sabian cymbal for the first 15 years or so that I was with the company. I never paid for a cymbal once. And then when the son, Andy Zildjian, took over, the policy got changed. They used to send back, like if I broke a cymbal on the road, I would call Sabian and say I broke my 18-inch crash. They would have one shipped waiting for me at the next gig or at the hotel or the venue, the next city. And they still did that. But then what I would do at the end of the tour is I would send back the broken cymbals and they would melt them down. But when the son took over, he changed that. And then guys at my level and whatever, everyone from what I understand, except for the really big guys like Chad Smith, etc., we had to pay. We started paying for cymbals. However, it was 80 to 90% off of list, which is next to nothing. So basically, but the first 15 years I was with Sabian, I didn't pay for one cymbal. Unbelievable, right? And even then now, it's still the same deal. 30 years later, I pay next to nothing for my cymbals, so I'm very grateful to have that. I explain that, even though this vlog is about Yamaha, just to tell you how these deals work, okay? So, upgrading to National was great. There was a lot of little perks with that. Now, later on at 2016 NAMM show in Anaheim, California, they introduced the Live Customs drums. Oak. Shell. These drums were, oh God, I'll put a picture of my kit here. And here's another little perk of being with Yamaha, is I got to witness, they had a thing first thing in the morning before the doors opened, a private event where Tommy Aldridge played and debuted the new Live Customs. I got the same drums and the same finish later, but we'll talk about the Tommy thing. I got invited to go. As a matter of fact, I had a flip cam at the time, which I still have. And it was kind of latest technology. Well, not even then, it was a little outdated, but Sean Brown positioned me on the floor tom right behind Tommy Aldridge, filming him. I'll put a link in the description to where you can watch that video. And it's still, despite the little camera, it sounds great. And the thunder coming off those drums was insane. I literally could just lean forward and touch Tommy on the back. That's how close I was. It was an incredible experience. And hung out with Tommy and gave me his phone number, which blew my mind, and then every time he'd come into town, he leaves me tickets and backstage passes for Whitesnake shows and things like that. So you see the perks of getting in this. And another thing is, other companies see you with other companies, and they take you more seriously. In my career, I've worked with, in order, Sabian, Evans briefly, Los Cabos, cost endorsement with Gretsch, Yamaha, full-on endorsement, Headhunters, full-on endorsement, Headhunters drumsticks and the great products they make, and Dixon drums. Now, Dixon drums, it's kind of in limbo. I'm still technically signed to them, but as great as the Canadian office tries, and the American office, it's really hard because they're a Taiwanese company. You order any little part, it takes 6 months to get here. It's a very slow-moving machine. So my relationship with them, as much as I appreciate it, has kind of lulled. They made me an excellent custom-made kit for next to nothing and threw in a bunch of freebies. As a matter of fact, they give me a little Jet Set Plus kit. I'll throw a picture in here as a signing bonus for free. And then they upgraded me like Yamaha did to better hardware and stuff like that. And they custom-made me this kit. And it's a gorgeous kit. But then the relationship kind of went radio silent because it's not, I can't do clinics and product demonstrations for them because they're on the other side of the world and everything takes 6 months to set up. So it's not a complaint, but I'm just letting you know there are different kinds of deals. Whereas Yamaha has an office in Canada, Yamaha Canada Music, right? I could pick up the phone in the morning on a Thursday and Friday afternoon I'd have a product in my hands. That literally has happened. An incredible company. And I can't thank Sean Brown enough for his belief in me. Now, ultimately what happened was Sean Brown got promoted up to an international position within Yamaha. And I was so proud of him and happy for him. And he was replaced by a guy named Ryan Hamilton, rather. And Ryan's, I've met briefly. since then, but at the time we didn't know each other. So my contract wasn't renewed. Ryan and I had never met. He didn't know who I was. And a new broom sweeps clean, right? So my contract wasn't like I was let go. That just never renewed. Ryan didn't know who I was. He hadn't signed me. And it happens. Now, after the COVID closures, I did speak to Ryan about sniffing around, seeing about going back with Yamaha. And he told me that just basically they've changed the contracts and the procedures and the deals since the COVID closures, because they hit the drum companies hard, right? And there was no room on the roster to take me back. But to Ryan's eternal credit, great guy, he's helped me with, my new kit has all Yamaha crosstown lightweight hardware on it, which he gave me for artist pricing. He's given me 2 sets of it. I have a set in Mexico and a set here in North America. And he sold me just all kinds of stuff that I needed at artist pricing. So basically, I'm still getting artist cost, but I'm not on the artist roster anymore. And I understand because things have changed. He goes, Archie, it's not like it used to be, trust me. Nothing is, right? Those COVID closures they really changed the world. Biggest changes in society I found since 9/11, but again, I digress. So anyway, yeah, just letting you know a little bit about how that works, and that I'm so pleased to still have a friendly relationship with Yamaha, and that 15 years ago today, they gave me my first chance as a registered Yamaha endorser. And I thank Sean Brown from the bottom of my heart, and Russell Mallinger, and all the great people at Yamaha that have been so good to me over the years, donating stuff for charity events I've organized and upgrading my gear. And here's a little bonus thing. We're getting to be 22 minutes here, but let me tell you about this. One of the things about signing with an international company like Yamaha is something called cartage. Okay, now if I fly out to do gigs, I could have, through Yamaha, a Yamaha kit waiting for me. There's a small surcharge. I think it's like $50 or $100 or something. If the promoter can't, you can put in your band's rider, your technical rider for the promoter, that when they provide gear, it has to be Yamaha drums. If they can't for some reason get Yamaha drums, Yamaha will make sure and get you a kit anywhere you go in the world. Even a national, artist level like me, they do that. So there's another perk of being in the company. It's not just about, people think it's about free stuff, and it's about, getting paid, like the big guys like Chad Smith and whatnot get paid for endorsements. I don't know any international Yamaha. I think Mercedes Lander from Kitty might have been at one point in time. Kitty were gold in America, and that's a huge accomplishment. The record went gold. I think at one time she was a Yamaha international artist and probably basically got free whatever she wanted, So that's another level. But if you're looking to get an endorsement deal just to get free stuff, keep walking, because they can smell it a mile away. They really need people that believe in the gear, stand behind the gear, and are going to promote. So I'm going to close with this. It was funny because I belonged to a Sabian Facebook group, and I had posted an unboxing and demonstration video I did of the new Sabian Simbits, which they kindly sent me. And there was a guy in the Sabian group, and he was all grumpy, saying, I think these unboxing videos should be banned. And I explained to him, well, I'm an endorser of Sabian, have been for 30 years, and I'm just helping them promote new products that they just put out. And he said, no, I think you just like to hear your own voice, and blah, blah, blah. And I turned it into a shit-slinging contest, basically just somebody shit in this guy's cornflakes, and he was having a bad day and decided to tangle with me, and I just laughed at him. So the point is, though, it's now a prerequisite in the contracts. I know this much about modern endorsement deals. You have to have a certain amount of social media followers. You have to do a certain amount of posting and promoting. They're watching. And if you don't do it, you won't get signed or you'll get dropped. So as I said, the reason Sean Brown contacted me after I had asked and he initially said no, was he'd been following me on social media. He saw I had 5,000 Facebook friends, and I often did drum-related posts and videos. That's why he came to me the second time. So keep this in mind, folks. You might think it's cheesy when you see a drummer doing a tour of his rig or talking about gear or the new products from this company, that company. They're doing it to be a team player. And if you want endorsement deals, you've got to be a team player too. So we're coming up almost exactly for 25 minutes. Thank you for your time. Once again, if you can, please like, comment, and more importantly, subscribe if you haven't already. And please keep in mind, you can send me a super thanks here below if you want to. It's a very easy way to send me a little cash gift, buy me a coffee or a beer. It helps me keep the train running because things are getting expensive, as we all know. Or if you want to further that idea, I have a Patreon page, and you can, it's just $5 a month Canadian, which is about $3 American. Think of it as buying me a coffee and a sit down and me telling you road stories. I put exclusive content on Patreon that I don't put in any other social media. And there's some cool videos and pictures and stories and stuff. So be sure to check it out. I'll put the link in the description. I'll also put the link in the description for the Tommy Aldridge appearance at NAMM that I filmed, as well as if I can find some footage of the Tommy Aldridge drum clinic we did in London, Ontario, I'll put down there as well too. So once again, special thanks to Yamaha for believing in me when I was, out there trying to believe in myself. And they really got behind me, and we had a great relationship for years. The economy changed that relationship and nothing but. And I still think they're the best drums in the world, and I'm really proud of my time with them. And I still use their hardware exclusively. So thanks a lot, folks, and we'll see you soon. Coming up is a Mickey Curry interview. This one is great. You're going to love it. That will be the next installment of The Gamble Rebel later this week.